Hello and welcome back. Yes, this is part one of the Zoukie Mura F-4J Phantom 2 build with the sort of like a comparison with the Tamiya F-4B version. In this video we will be going through the cockpit, how it goes together, the details, painting, and yeah, a general comparison between the two. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at scalemates. Right then, on scalemates, what we do... Oh, hang on, dear. Whoa, hang on. Right, scalemates. Right, here we go. Right, what I do is I go onto scalemates and I have a look at some information before I buy or before I start a kit. Now, good thing about scalemates is you get to see basically when it was made, the different versions that the company make, a full history, reviews, aftermarkets, and also you can have a downloadable instructions. So with instructions, if you've never used Zoukie Mura before, they are rather good actually, and they do give quite a clear layout of paint call-outs, positions where the parts need to be in, and also they have like a really nice diagram on the right hand side of the page just to let you know where everything should be and what it should look like once you've glued it all in, as in different angles, different sort of like placings and all the rest of it. So it is really quite handy to have. It's a shame that a lot of other manufacturers don't do it, but saying that, with Tamiya's one, well, it's Tamiya all the way through. So anyway, those are the instructions. Go listen to some music if you so wish. Or then again, no, because we're going to go straight onto it because my editing is crap. Right. Box art. Yeah, the box sing better days, I know. But yeah, a nice rendition of the F-4J, the Phantom 2, Showtime 100, I believe. The livery is showing. Oof. Anyway, that is going to be the livery which I do the actual kit by the end of everything. So yeah, it's quite an iconic livery. So yeah, I'm going to go for that. Anywho, right, instructions and what I'm doing in this video. Basically, I'm just showing you the parts that we'll need to take off the sprues, glue together and paint and detail up as we go along. Now, with this one, everything bar the injector seats, you can actually get out and do. So it's pretty much the whole cockpit is done and finished, just ready to pop into the main fuselage. Unlike the Tamiya one, where you've got a few odds and sods to do right at the very end, as in put the injector seats and the framing for the top of the fuselage. Anyway, deep breath, Lenny. Right. Ejector seats, very much like the parts breakdown of the Tamiya one, but not as many parts. The only thing I will say to you on this is just be careful of the grab handles for the ejector seats. They are quite flimsy, and I did break one of them, but thankfully I did manage to glue it back on without too much of an arse ache, as it were. But yeah. The side details of the seats are really good. Once you paint them up and dry brush them, bring out the details, you really can't go wrong. So all I'm going to do is just play some tunes and you can see the rest of the build. You see, with the Zoukie Mura one, you can actually put all the sort of like the front undercarriage parts together in unison with the cockpit, and with the Tamiya one that you don't. Not that there's any sort of like major issue with that. It just gives you, yeah, another way of doing it. So yeah, that's good for me. So on with the painting. Again, I'm using XF24 from Tamiya, which is a dark grey, as a primer coat. Basically because it's going to give me, again, that sort of like different contrast between the two greys. And basically, again, I'm using the light gold grey for the main cockpit colour. Whether that's right or wrong, I've no idea. But once everything sort of like is all buttoned up and it's all in, you're not going to see that much of it anyway. So, yeah, it is what it is. In basically, you paint the grey as you wish. It's entirely up to yourself. Well, do what you want anyway. Yeah, I painted it as per the Tamiya one, just giving it some sort of like the shadowing effect with the side parts that you can see behind the pilot's firewall, and also the Rio's firewall as well. We'll have various odds and sods, circuit breakers, vents, and all that kind of business, all in the back of there. So once that was all done and all the grey had been done, I just basically went straight on to the black, and then that was just basically just painting the ejector seats, the side panels, and the main instrument panels. Okay then, carrying on with the undercarriage bay itself. Basically, I'm just using insignia white to paint sort of like in between the panels. So I'm leaving the dark grey around the actual sort of like support structure of it. And again, just to give it a bit more of a shadowing effect and a bit of definition, rather than having sort of like a big sort of like white block underneath. So that's the idea of it. Okie dokie. Right. With that done, go on to dry brushing. Now, like I said with the Tamiya one that I did, dry brushing for me is one of the, if not the most important parts of getting the detail out of the kit itself. Just a simple brush with a lighter grey or even a darker grey, depending on what you've actually used for your cockpit colour, really does bring all the details out. And as long as you're sort of like, well, like not sort of like careful, but you put the absolute minimum on first, then just start to basically work it up until you're actually happy with basically what you've got in front of you, as in the details popped. Anything else that needs to be painted a different colour, it can be, as in reds and yellows and maybe some whites. It's not entirely up to what the cockpit is. And yeah, you can just basically go from there. Now, at the moment, the only sort of like weak thing I can actually see with the actual main kit itself are the instrument decals. Not to be a snob, but yeah, Zoukie Mura, you could have done a hell of a lot better, mate. They are pretty poor. So I did start to use him just because it's an out of the box thing, but I thought, do you know what, fuck this. No, I didn't use them. So they were binned. So I went through the old fashioned way of I painted them. So yeah, basically all I've done is I've used a paint retarder from Tamiya, and I've used some sky grey from the same company, and I've mixed it up so it's really, really thin paint. And it's just a question of getting it on a very fine paintbrush, dabbing it on, and let the actual paint work its way around using the old capillary action. Same as like the same extra thin glue. It is exactly that simple. You just tap and you let it flow all the way around into the crevices, recessed lines, and all the rest of it, and you're left with a pretty nifty but sharp instrument panel. So as you can see, I did the same thing with the front instrument panel, the pilot's one. And now, basically, I'm just putting some clear orange over, I believe it was the radar, or well, one of the sensors for the actual cockpit. And I've done the same again for the actual Rio's part of his radar admission thingy bob. I don't know. Yeah, I like Phantoms, but I don't know the absolute ins and outs. But anyway, there's colour in them. Now, what I've done here is something that I've never shown before, and that's basically I'm using a sort of like a fingernail gloss coaty thing, which, yeah, beauticians use. And what we use them for is we pop it into the actual instrument dials, stick it under UV light, and it comes out nice and shiny and rock hard, just like me. Yeah, whatever you say, Lenny. Right, okay, it's time to stick it all together. Now, very much like the Tamiya one, it's a case of just making sure you put the right panels on the right side, and that's it. And you just glue them in. It's that simple. The fit is really, really good. You're not going to have any issues with it at all. So yeah, it's just a case of pop it in, pop the glue on, leave it to dry, and there you go. You're going to have your cockpit. So that's it. That's basically Zoukie Mura cockpit all done, dusted, and put together, in a manner of speaking. All I've got to do now is to source some pilots, because the pilots don't come with the kit, and pop them in the seats, and that's it. Glue them in, and it's job done. Now, overall, yeah, I'm happy with how it's come out and how everything's sort of like come together. So there you have it. There's your two. Zoukie Mura one being one nearest and the Tamiya one behind, sorry, even. Bloody hell. So yeah, quite a happy experience. So anyway, what do I think of the Zoukie Mura one? The detail is absolutely awesome. It's fantastic. The only thing that I can see that's, I don't know, not good is the instrument decals. Everything else is absolutely fine. It goes together well. There is detail that really does pop out, and it does give you a really good rendition of the Phantom cockpit. yeah, that's very much all I can say. All remains really is to actually put it into the actual main fuselage and see what the fit is like. But as I've done this kit before, it does fit really well, providing you follow the instructions. Yes, it's that simple. So that's it. I will see you on the next video. So until then, happy modelling and see you soon.